ready to put that counterspell card up. It's gonna be that duck thing because I'm gonna do that. It can't be countered. Indestructible. Sanity catch. Eat combat if available. Creature you control deals combat damage to a player. Draw a card.
And much.
Oh yes, I need her.
Yeah, she's really good.
And much
It's
like
amazing.
And much like a wizard that's run out of spell slots and has to fight with the bow staff, I am woefully unprepared for today's episode. How are you all doing?
Hilarious.
I don't care.
Feeling good.
It's called branding cross. One day you'll understand.
I love the counter spell.
Hello, everybody. I am your DM, Garson, and welcome to episode 7 of Forgotten Table Tales. We are once again continuing our look through Kinks and Cantrips, the magical source book that we have covered a great deal of on the show recently. And I am actually almost sad to say that we are nearing the end of our journey into Bundheim, but don't worry.
No.
We will have more stuff prepared for you in a bit. And I just want to say welcome, everybody. Once again, my co-host is the lovely Chitter Charmer.
Hello.
And our players this session are Cross.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Neko Rose.
Hey, hi. How are you?
And Nefer Windseeker, a.k.a. Neffy.
Hello.
And we are going to be continuing our Bundheim look real quick. But before we do, players, I have some news for you. And I am not happy to pronounce this news to those of you who are watching, but it is something I must mention. Now, as many of you are aware, we do a regular D&D campaign every Sunday on the channel. And we are forced to use the somewhat substandard Roll20 because we don't have a lot of options. So I was personally looking forward to a new playstyle in the form of Sigil. Everyone here has heard of Sigil, correct?
I have not.
Okay, everyone besides Neffy has heard of Sigil, correct?
So, yeah, so in a nutshell, Sigil was Wizards of the Coast's attempt at a virtual tabletop. It would have been in full 3D. It was using Unreal Engine 5, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. In order to set it up, it was gonna. The initial screenshots looked amazing and it was in development for like 3 years at this point. But then stuff happened, I will say.
Then it actually released to alpha, and well, to put it bluntly, I'm just gonna come out and say, look at the. It's not just the issues with the character models and whatnot. Only really the starter adventure was properly animated and whatnot, which even for an alpha, you don't release that.
Well, that's true. But unfortunately, we're not going to have to worry about that for one very important reason. And that is today's news. Reports that Hasbro is scrapping the Dungeons & Dragons ambitious virtual tabletop. 3 years in development, Project Sigil, which has been in the works for years, 3 to be precise, has purportedly seen active development ended after 30 employees were laid off. And as you may or may not be noticing, that this has actually been playing into some of the more popular aspects of D&D that we've been seeing in the last couple of years, mostly off of the back of how powerful Baldur's Gate 3 has been, as even the samples feature the lovely Karlach and the always fabulous Astarion, who are fighting, who are being represented here. And let's just quickly go over this right now. So for those of you who are not aware, basically the Sigil, Project Sigil was supposed to be a 3D virtual tabletop tool, like Cross has mentioned. Basically, it was, in a very brief explanation, it was designed to allow DMers and Dungeon Masters and players to build almost 3D-like worlds that were probably not going to be on par with Baldur's Gate, but very likely would have increased very much would have increased the immersion ratio of their campaigns. And after their initial release of an alpha build earlier this year, I believe it was also shown off at the 2024 Game Awards, which wasn't that long ago. It looks like the project has been scrapped, but what makes this even more infuriating is that they are actually rolling the development of Project Sigil into D&D Beyond. And that's about where I want to just give my initial. That's where I just want to give the baseline to explain the situation. First of all, we feel bad for the 30 individuals who have been let go by Hasbro. We know that it is a corporation, but you should have been treated with a lot more respect. Just saying that. Jobs are hard to come by.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But what gets me even more mad is that this was not meant to be part of D&D Beyond. And I'm going to say this right now, I am very mad at Hasbro for making this decision. I am mad at a lot of the business decisions that Hasbro has been making lately in regards to just putting profits above decent quality projects. But D&D Beyond is, in my opinion, only good for two things. Books and character sheets. And anything else that site has been using is an abomination because it is just so hard to manage.
Yeah. I've tried homebrew stuff, and setting up homebrew things in D&D Beyond is a nightmare. Like it's honestly just better just to say out just what the thing is just in session and just workshop it on the fly than it is to set up D&D Beyond. So
in fact, in fact, it even says here on the Gizmodo article, it's flashy visuals. The system has been rife with bugs, user accessibility issues, and extremely limited compared to the grand vision Wizards has teased for the platform. And this has been my biggest complaint that I have with Wizards, is that they have made a corporation so massive by producing a lot of stuff by Wizards of the Coast, including Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, that now it feels like they don't have to put effort into any of their projects. They are, without a doubt, cannibalizing their fan bases for short-term games in an industry that is predominantly known for long-term success.
And the
Yeah.
scary part is that they weren't even like afraid to admit it, because if you look at the quote, this is an infuriating quote. From the studio confirmed that Sigil will transition to a DDB feature, an attempt to release current developed extra content for users at no additional cost. After several months of alpha testing, we've concluded that our aspirations for Sigil as a larger standalone game with a distinct monetization path will not be realized.
So basically, they were afraid they weren't going to make money with the game.
100%, that's
Basically.
the reason. They thought there was no way that this was going to turn a profit.
They're stupid. This is why you don't have business people like focus on like, no, our customers won't buy this. Like, okay, you don't know your customers then. You clearly don't know your customers. You just want to play it safe and put anything with D&D on it, and then you're good. You think they weren't going to play this? They were.
And here's where it gets a little bit stupid. To even use Sigil in the first place, because it runs on Unreal Engine 5, and I did a little bit of digging into how Unreal Engine 5 like works and whatnot. Based on the recommended system requirements, with like the RTX 2080 or the RX 6600 XT, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and an NVMe solid state drive, apparently, because you need it directly into the computer.
Oh boy.
I can only conclude that this game was running very unoptimized with Lumen baked in. Lumen is a good thing for Unreal Engine 5, but it's not a requirement, and it can make games very difficult. Lumen is basically like global illumination and reflections, which I don't know why you would have that in a game where it's just models, but that's besides the point. Also, when it comes to money, this is where it gets terrifying. I'm a free user or hero tier subscriber. What can I do with Sigil? All registered users can play the base experience, which includes a pre-made intro adventure, a starter builder kit, and the ability to join multiplayer games hosted by tier subscribers. That's it.
If they claim all the rights to this, they can actually just make the game themselves with another company, and basically just have all the protections to them if they're smart about it.
Also, here's an interesting thing.
Kitty, no. Okay.
Why can't I host a multiplayer session, otherwise known as any session ever with this goddamn thing?
Yeah.
As in maps, D&D Beyond's 2D VTT, only master tier subscribers can host multiplayer sessions in Sigil.
Okay,
If-
that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
If you
So-
don't have a master tier subscription, you can still join multiplayer sessions hosted by master tier subscribers. By the way, did you know that the hero tier is $2 a month while the master tier is $5?
So they weren't going to make a profit anyway because of how stupid the monetization thing was that they were doing.
Unless you were willing to shill out $5 a month USD, so that's more for me in Canada, I couldn't be a DM in this thing.
Yep.
So
Like,
they shot themselves in the foot and said, like, see? Like, I knew this would hurt me in the face. Like, but you shot your... What?
they rolled a nat 1 on this so badly. Like, just to
They have intelligence.
Yeah, so like let me give you another example. For our Roll20 campaign, I do pay the $5 a month for Roll20, but do you want to know what I get for that? Like, just to let you know the investment I put into the campaign, the only thing I get from that $5 investment is I am allowed to have an unlimited amount of characters in the character vault that I can make for you guys and then transfer them into the game and give you the sheet. So if you don't know how to make a character in a game, I can do that for you and then let you have control of it. Oh, and on top of that, I also get like some minor subscription-based stuff. But really, it's mostly just for convenience for the character mancer. I don't have to do that to play the game. I don't have to do that to get like the main focus of what D&D is. I only have to do that. I do that for the convenience for you guys to make sure that your character sheets are protected in the event that something gets wiped out. Because it happens. And I'm willing to pay that for the story. But if I have to pay $5 to use a buggy, unresponsive player that I can't actually, and that I would have to not only, like set up so you all could have access to it, you still have to make the character sheet on your end. And then you have to import it into the game, and then on top of all of that, you're responsible for that character sheet. And at the $5 tier, there's not a lot of benefit there, and that's a lot saying for something for $5 that you do not get any benefit for whatsoever. Like, I feel like this has been Wizards' biggest problem. And I said this earlier, and I say this again. Wizards is being forced by Hasbro to make these awful business decisions for the sake of monetary gain, and they have been doing that for the last 5 years. And ever since, and it's not just D&D, Magic the Gathering's been facing that, My Little Pony has been facing that, Hot Wheels, G.I. Joe, all of their big name IPs that Hasbro has, they have shot themselves in the foot time and time again to keep that stock price up. And I'm telling you that
because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with it. They don't understand their customer base. They think like, oh, if we just keep on pumping this out, just put the IP name on there, you can do whatever the fuck you want. We're gonna be safe making money anyway. It's like, no, that's not how it works. People will get old of something and be like, what's new? What do you got? And then they don't want to take a risk.
And if you watch the video that they have here real quick, I just want to play this for you guys real quick. Okay, maybe not full screen though, but like, look at the video. They're not showing Project Sigil. This is Baldur's Gate. They're backing this off of Baldur's Gate. Like, okay, there's Astarion and there's Karlach.
Yeah,
but none of this.
That's the draw.
Yeah,
that is the draw. It's like, hey, you recognize this popular thing? Well, now you can use it in this other thing that we have.
And if they're gonna go this route, like, this just looks like they took the models from Baldur's Gate and put them on little stands and froze them.
Mhm.
What if I'm gonna do this? Why do I not just go and play Baldur's Gate with friends? Why do I not just do that?
This is what I was saying to. Oh, go ahead.
No, I actually saw this. I wanted this because it's like, okay, it's still like the tabletop experience because like here's the thing with Baldur's Gate, we know it's a video game. We do.
Yeah.
And some people actively like this play style with what they were doing, like creating it and just using the figurines because like you're basically making up the animation in your own head. Baldur's Gate does that for you. They already have a concrete story. This is you making the story happen yourself with some of your favorite characters that you can have, but also with your own unique characters that you can make. And it just feels like you're able to play with your friends across the world. Which now I'm looking at this and I'm like, why the fuck did you cancel this? You morons. And here's the problem. You could have just had a monetization system where you can buy like new figurines or something. Because figurines, that's how they make their money, not just the books. You could have made money by buying like little figurines for your thing. You could have like just like a base set for other stuff. You could have like a monster set, maps, all that. You could have created more everything and have something for free with a proper monetization system like that. Hell, you could have had some people like put in a premium package where you can even like get like a code, like with a code person to help 3D model your prints, and you can actually have like a scanner like scan it and then you can put it in there. What the fuck was those CEOs thinking? Do they not know how to make money? Do they? Yeah, it's a similar life for Gamers Workshop. Gamers Workshop likes to propertize their stuff all the time, like locking in their media by their own streaming system, which, again, no one watches but hardcore Warhammer people, but they would be more inclined to share their streaming services with other companies to let other people see it. Like, look at the Level Up game. Look at the Level Up show that happened. The Warhammer episode was beautifully executed. Followed story criteria, took some liberties, but still delivered to the Warhammer fandom on a silver platter. This is like showing a design delicious 5-course meal to a patron, and then they're going to Firefest, and all it is just a cramming ham sandwich.
And just one last thing I want to add to this. This interface might look a little hard to understand, but it's really not. It's a very simple drag and drop style asset placement program. And I know this because having gone to school for computer animation, I can tell you this right now, that this is basically what you would do in Maya, and if it's very easy. I admit it's probably not going to be for the casual audience to start with, but if you had like pre-built assets and pre-built adventures to get people to understand how the mechanics work, and then have this could have made money. And on top of that, like, and let's not forget, the competition for this was already going to be hard to beat. We have Tabletop Simulator. Tailspire is probably going to be coming out, is probably going to get an update like this soon. And there's also like virtual tabletops that you have seen for other companies. I'm saying this right now. This is going to come back and bite Wizards in the ass so hard that they are going to basically have to do more greedy monetization efforts because they can't compete with outside companies that are... Was that fucking Optimus Prime 5 seconds ago? Hang on, I'm going to rewind this real quick. I want to see this real quick. So that's Drezit.
No, there's actually a...
No, that's fucking Optimus Prime right there.
Adventure of Optimus Prime.
Motherfucker. Yeah, motherfucker, you messed up. And yes, shout out to Tabletop Simulator. We love Tabletop Simulator because it knows what it is, and it just is like, look, I'm a simulator, I have the games on me, you can play them with friends. That much is fine, but this, Sigil, I'm sorry to see you go. I wish you had become a real thing. I don't know if I would have used it personally, because I don't know if I ever want to sign up for D&D Beyond, but I will say this. It is a bit of a letdown. That's my take on it.
Honestly... Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, I didn't have anything to add, really. That was just not it.
Oh, my suggestion would have been, here, give it to Matt Mercer to help show how to use it. Because, one, loves D&D. He would have helped definitely fix some bugs. And he even did that with Larian Studios for Baldur's Gate. Like hell.
True.
Yeah,
Canadians don't know what the fuck to do.
Exactly. All right. So
if I may just add one final note.
yeah,
to
go right
this,
ahead.
Everyone's talking about the monetization that they should have done, and what makes it even worse is what we talked about with the monetization that they basically did. And that's sure. You look at it and go, it's $5 a month. And you're like, that's a lot of money. And then you sit back and realize, wait a minute, this is to run the campaigns. If you go based on our group, which is not even, we meet quite often for a D&D group, to be quite frank. For a lot of D&D groups, it's once every couple weeks and whatnot.
Mhm.
But even for our group, you're paying $5, which is for every session for the DM to be in control. That's $1.25.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the devil's advocate, though. Most D&D people are adults that don't have time. So
Yep.
one, you go 2 months without a session, 3 months, $15 is gone now.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that to be, I'm not saying that as a positive. I'm not saying that the $1.25 is a positive. I'm saying
no,
if you're going to be shilling out $1.25 at minimum for every session, because good luck hosting a D&D game every day to get your value out. Good luck with that.
yeah.
But if you're say hosting it even once a week, what is that $1.25 going towards? That for Sigil, it was going for the honor of being able to fucking use it. With Roll20, it's the honor of being able to be like, hey, I can go above and beyond. I keep everything safe and with me, and I can make things easier for my players. As Garson said, that's something that he's willing to do. And for $1.25 for ease of characters and ease of the players, that's well worth it. But $1.25 for the honor of being able to even do a session in the first place that may or may not even work? Fuck off.
Exactly. And honestly, and this is just me speaking here, but at least with Roll20, it has a lot of flaws. We do not dispute that. But Roll20 knows it has flaws. And they at least are like, listen, we are a flawed system, but we are a system that allows you to play with people across the world. You know, it's not going to be fancy, but we will get you there. And you know what? Yeah, and you know what? That's what I'm just saying. It's like sometimes, it is what it is. But Sigil, I'm sorry to see you go. I'm sorry you lost your death saving throws and you're gone. I am excited for Discord integration for Roll20 when that happens, but then again, we usually just play over Discord anyway, so it's like.
But here's the thing that I think Roll20 could actually really thrive if they did this.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to the people who did lose Sigil, see if they still have the rights, and see what they can do with it. Because then Roll20 would actually be able to overtake Hasbro for a little bit.
Well, here's the problem. They fired almost the entire team who was working on Sigil, and then they also announced they're going to roll Sigil they're going to take the work they did for Sigil and move it on to a D&D Beyond. So now, so like 30 people have been laid off, and now the majority of the people who were working on the project are now making a version that you got to pay $5 to use. This thing is never going to see the light of day. I'm going to leave it at that.
What is the problem with companies and laying off people that do good work? Like, seriously.
They're greedy. They're greedy.
Yep.
That's the only
NetEase
reason.
did
They're
this.
fucking greedy.
NetEase did this shit. And, like, everyone was pissed because everyone loves Marvel Rivals. But they got rid of a studio in what state?
Seattle. It was in Seattle.
It was in Seattle. And people were pissed. And people were like, well, it was just a small... Like, the NetEase was like, well, it's just a small studio. Like, that doesn't matter. They still helped with the bones of the game. You wouldn't have a game without bones. And, and it's not just that. Like, it's like mega corporations absorbing smaller studios, like, Hi-Fi, or what that music game
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush tore that studio down after it gave them a banger of a game. It makes no economic sense or customer loyalty build up to just get rid of the developers that brought you a cash cow. And it makes also no sense why you would spend all that money and time and work just to throw it in the bin because you didn't discuss any crowd testing with any fan that would actually like that. How would you know it wouldn't be monetizable if you didn't give it all options? It like, let me get a boneless RPG with 2 liters of Coke. Man, those CEOs were doing Coke like, whoa, you know what we should do? We gotta get rid of that game so we can get some tax credit because I'm almost out of Coke.
All right.
Oh my god. All right, transit.
All right, all right. So we wanted to go over that briefly. We're going to be trying to incorporate some more news into our episodes because we want to keep on the pulse. In fact, just throwing that out there, this isn't even the stupidest thing that Wizards has done this month to D&D.
Oh god, please.
We're gonna talk about it.
We're not gonna talk about it for a lot because I'm actually trying to want to get back on our main topic today. But I will say this: next week we're gonna talk about it once I find more proof of this. But I heard they are licensing out Dungeons and Dragons to the pachinko machines.
Oh no, that's real. That's real.
Okay, so we're moving on, and I'm like,
let's move on to our main topic today. So, okay,
I'm sorry. The what?
I thought we were going to talk about the Magic the Gathering sponge.
No, we're not talking about that. That's another episode where today.
No! I want it so bad, though.
Well, too bad. We're not talking. It's too bad. It's my show. I say no.
D&D time.
I know. Okay, so let's move on because we still got Bun Time to talk about. And speaking of, so now that why am I upset now? Oh.
Wait,
there we go. I got it. My toggle was on for some reason. So
nice, good job.
So let's talk about this. So as you know, we have been going through Kinks and Cantrips, the source book by T.S. Michaels, and we have gone through a lot. And I got to admit, a lot of it's been growing on me. And even earlier this week, and I saw this, and it was just making me like chef's kiss. Tiefling Melissa showed that she had a physical copy of this book. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's like the queen of the... Yeah.
I do.
She is. Yeah, for those of you who are not aware, Tiefling Melissa is like the VTuber queen of Dungeons and Dragons. She is like, if we ever get to that point, I would love to have her on the show and just pick her brain on a lot of, because she knows a lot.
I could probably find someone that does know her and I can ask.
If you
Networking.
That'd be amazing.
Networking, let's go.
But
it's almost like VTubers are in the freaking entertainment business and networking is supposed to happen. Hey, introverted VTubers, fucking talk to people.
So
just say hi.
So
we're not gonna bite.
So anyway,
I mean, unless you ask nicely.
Well, who knows? We got a bunch of kinks to go over today. Let's pull it back and go over. Before we go into the classes, we're gonna talk a little bit again about the pleasure and pain mechanic. Only because the classes we're going to be looking at today really benefit and or thrive based on this mechanic right now, and we want to make sure that you all understand it so we don't have to keep like pointing it out. Obviously, we know you guys are intelligent and we believe that, but you know, if you aren't aware of it or you haven't heard of the book yet, it's better to go over this very, very important core mechanic one more time. Cross, you know more about this than anyone at the table. I'm going to let you go ahead and take the first crack at it. What can you give the audience a brief reminder of what pleasure and pain is?
All right, so that's the two main things that a lot of different subclasses and monsters and spells all draw from for pretty much like the entirety of this book. Pleasure and pain are two extra stats that a character or monster or something can have, and they can be used in different ways depending on like what your feature is or what spell you're using. But the general setup is that everyone has a like pleasure threshold, like a maximum that they can have before it becomes overwhelming to them. That's tied to your Constitution score. Whatever half of your Constitution score is, that becomes your maximum of both pain and pleasure. The example they give is that, if you have a Constitution of 18, then your maximum of pain and pleasure is 9 for each. If you go over your maximum, you need to make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On a failure, one of two things can happen. If it's for having too much pain, you end up making your ability checks and attack rolls with disadvantage until the end of your next turn. And you also get a cumulative -1 to your wisdom and charisma scores that can and that can keep happening over time until you're like not taking pain for at least a minute. So yeah, the having too much pain makes it so that it's hard to like think rationally. You're just slowly like losing like sense of self and everything. Whereas too much pleasure is a lot more straightforward. If you fail the saving throw, you're stunned until the end of your next turn, and then you lose half your pleasure. I'm sure we can piece together like what exactly that's representing. So yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta go over the edge just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what this is. Yeah.
And on top of that, now some people may think that it's a bit of an overpowered mechanic, but the benefit is that if you don't get any pain or pleasure after about a minute, the DC check goes back to 15. So that cumulative increase of DC checking, it's not stacking. I like that, if
Right.
only because like it's probably not going to happen in fight, but like at least after fight, it's not going to take a short rest because those are usually at a premium. Unless you're the DM who's like, fuck it, you can have a short rest after every fight, which then kind of negates the challenge of the campaign. So
Right.
I would say that I like that, and one other thing I want to talk about, because I know we're going to be talking about some spellcasters today. I want to talk about the gag speak real quick, because this one I just want to go over briefly. Full disclosure, gag speak is like another way to basically, if you're like a spellcaster, there's a verbal component to some of your spells. If you are basically silenced, it does basically mean that yes, you can still cast spells, even though you basically have like a gag in your mouth. Now, I don't think in regular D&D that should be a thing, because if you are like a wizard,
Just imagine.
if you're
Like-
like a wizard or like a sorcerer and you get gagged in a prison, I don't want this to be a reason why you escaped. But in this situation, I can see that playing a little bit more of an
I can
interesting
just
take.
imagine a wizard just muffled yelling fireball.
Okay, but also,
No one can
I-
understand what he's
I'm-
saying. Like
I'm going to offer a counter argument to that.
Ugh.
Is that gag speak is not just a feature, it's an actual language. So
Oh.
so here's
Yes.
here's the thing, is that I would actually be okay with it being in there because you're sacrificing a language. And this would be and if you're having a spellcaster where you're giving up a language and you're focusing on that kind of thing, there's going to be a variety of languages. So it's a risk versus reward. Sure,
Yeah.
if you get into a dangerous situation where you're gagged, you can still cast spells, but that's one more language that you have to devote either downtime to or you just don't know.
Yeah.
there
It's
is
okay.
a class. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second, Cross. I promise you. I promise you go. There is a class that actually does self bond. So a wizard with that self bonds can be proficient in gag speak.
Yep. You actually took what I was gonna say. So yeah, some like subclass features will allow you to basically utilize this very effectively. So yeah.
And
Yeah, so
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
yeah. But something else that kind of struck me with not only the pain and pleasure system, like sure, you can have the pain be like, oh, every 10 points of HP, you get a point of pain or something along those lines, which is not mentioned specifically in the book, but it's how I would rule it as a DM, to be completely fair, because if you're taking 10 points of damage, that's a good fucking hit. But
Yeah.
but here's the thing. here's something else that I'm kind of noticing with this is that they make it into situational things. And it took me a while to understand what they were doing with that, but it kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cross. It kind of feels like they're introducing it like within the encounter itself at the start, or every turn you get this amount because of it. It feels like something along those lines because it's introducing it like as a role. So I would assume that it would be like once a turn while you're in this situation, your pleasure goes up or your pain goes up.
Yeah, they said it for like some monsters you can encounter, or like for some like encounter scenarios that they've discussed in like other sections of the book. That yeah, you can gain pleasure or pain depending on like what the scenario is at certain points. They don't go into like hard details about like how much or like when exactly, because it's supposed to be like a general idea for you to draw inspiration from for encounter design. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And real
the,
quick,
the idea.
sorry, real
Okay.
quick. I just want to ask one more question because I did get asked this in the chat, and I want to ask you guys. Cross, could you tell me exactly what separates exhaustion from pain in terms of like just the main status?
Ooh, good question. So they are similar that your first level of exhaustion will give you a disadvantage on ability checks. Pain also gives you disadvantage on attack rolls. So in that sense, it's kind of like similar to the poison mechanic. But then you also have the penalty to your wisdom and charisma. Exhaustion doesn't have that. Like it eventually will give you the disadvantage on attack rolls. It'll lower your movement speed, and eventually too much exhaustion means you just die. Pain have that particular level. There's no death condition with too much pain. It's just that it leaves you like basically unable to really act. And if you're charisma or wisdom focused, then a lot of your stuff is just offline, basically.
So would it be fair to say that pain has a higher floor of disability but a capped ceiling, while exhaustion is slower to get going, so it has a lower floor of disability, but it has an unlimited ceiling?
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah. They exist on those like different axes. More pain and falling to the failed saving throw is really really bad. But as we've seen so far in some of the classes we reviewed, having pain can be a good thing. We've seen that like for the dynamic duelist fighter, they will get pain points if they're like in their submissive stance, and then use that to better their attacks in some way. So it's never a good thing to have exhaustion. It can be a good thing to have pain. So that's the trade-off.
And with that, I think that is the best transition to our main topic tonight. Yes, it's time to talk now about the remaining subclasses in Kinks and Cantrips. So last week we covered up to the Horrorling Ranger. For those of you who don't know, the Horrorling Ranger was primarily what Chitter ranted on about for a good 10 minutes about saying that's what they wanted the character to be. But
yeah,
I lost my shit.
You did. You really did.
Like Cross. Okay, I'm so glad Cross is here right now. Please justify me. How many attempts have I made with this character concept?
So yeah, Chitter has had this one character idea for many years, like long before we even met Garson and his lovely group of people, of trying to have someone bonded to some like otherworldly and odd, like almost monstrous figure. And I've run games for her many times to try to make that concept work, to varying degrees of success, but it's never really fit all the way of what she really was looking for. And I wasn't here for when she did her rant, unfortunately, but from what she told me afterwards, it seems like the Horrorling is exactly what she's looking for.
possible. Well, yes, that is true.
Yeah.
But so before we're gonna go to the Ranger real quick, but the first one I want to start with is because someone mentioned in our chat to bring out the GIMP. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna bring out.
There's actually bring out the GIMP class.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
So
there legitimately is one.
yeah, so we're
Bring
gonna
out-
be talking
bring out
about the Null Visage Rogue to start with, which is we're bringing out the GIMP.
Oh Lord, I'm seeing the image right now. Holy shit.
Hey, they're
Okay.
wearing pants. It's fine. We can show this.
Fine, we can show this.
Okay. Do you mind if I take over for this class? Because
You were gonna have to because I know two things. I know one thing. I've never played a psionic in my life, so I know nothing about how psionics play. And two, I rarely play rogues. My go-to classes are sorcerers and wizards, and
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
Sorcerer Gang.
yeah, exactly, sorcerer gang for life. But rogues, no, I'm gonna pass it on to you. So, Chitter, you're gonna start. So, what can you tell us about the Null Visage Rogue?
Okay. The Null
sucks to
Visage
show it.
Rogue. It is such. This is so well done. Like, yes, ha ha ha, bring out the GIMP and whatnot. But here's the thing. The Null Visage Rogue is a testament to the null creature that we found before. This whole class's concept is about being as unrecognizable and as blending into the background as physically possible. And I love that about that. Even in the starting paragraphs and whatnot, sure, it's about an assassination. But if you take a look, it says, in the end, she never knew which one did it. The hooded, faceless, and bound form she kept only for her own satisfaction were no more threatening to her than the armchair by the window. Even when the guards wandered in and found her body amidst a pool of her own blood, none suspected one of those same hooded figures who stood trembling in fear. The killing of Lady Vixillis was an end attributed to a masterful assassination whose prowess with stealth and magic must be unparalleled. To the assassin, this was just as well. And that's the thing, is that these rogues disappear into the background. And that's the thing about GIMP suits. Sure, we laugh about them, but they're very, very, very dehumanizing, and the person loves that loss of identity and vulnerability. And that is something that is so powerful. Even with the arms restrained and whatnot, psionic blades, yeah, that's a psychic energy. And it's basically hands-free. It's basically Bluetooth daggers.
Look, Mom, no hands.
Yeah.
But what makes it even more interesting is that it says just as flat out, the psychic energies you channel to become unremarkable can be focused to manifest weaponry. So basically, the less threatening you look, the more of a danger you are.
Oh, it's not the dangers that you can see; it's the dangers that you can't see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we think of rogues as those who are always hiding, very, very sneaky. In this world, this rogue hides in plain sight.
Like, let me put this for example. How scared would you be if the rogue that you saw had their upper limbs bound completely? How scared would you be?
I would be terrified.
Very
Mhm.
terrified because one of the biggest fears that I think humanity has is we do not like humanoid-looking things, but don't have human features. I think it's like one of those primal things that we
It's
get.
like an uncanny valley kind of situation.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to get at. If you were playing against a rogue character, like ignoring what you know about the GIMP suit, like if you were to face off against a rogue character and you managed to bind their upper limbs completely, how terrified would you be of them?
Pretty
Would you
fucking
think-
terrified.
Normally,
No, not really.
well, no. I see what she's saying. I see what she's saying. Like, the assassin has come to assassinate the noble. Okay, we've gotten them. We've tied them up. Now we're gonna interrogate them. We feel safe, right? We're perfectly fine, right? However, go ahead, Chitter.
Here's the thing: if this rogue's upper limbs are tied up, their daggers go from a D4 to a D6.
Yep.
That's that, and that might not seem like a lot, but bear in mind something. That extra 2 points of damage on a consistent hit would probably be a very high sneak attack critical, on top of the fact that the range you have on a D6 is such a better roll. Like, D4s are fine for like long range attacks where the odds of hitting them are, a little bit less, but because you don't run the risk of retaliation. When you're close by, every damage point counts. So believe me when I say rogues have to finish the job fast, because they have escape tools, like their bonus actions, their escape abilities, they have those. But bear in mind that those are not always going to be like they're not always going to protect you. You can't bonus action dash away all the time. There's just sometimes you're not going to be in that situation. So having that extra bit of damage means that your sneak attack criticals will probably be a much more reliable tool.
And here's the terrifying part: the daggers do psychic energy damage, like they do psychic damage instead of piercing, and that's a D6. And when you get to 13th level, the melee attack range on those daggers go up by 5 feet. If you have one of these that's level 13 bound up, you have 10-foot short swords coming at you.
Yep. Like, that's pretty good.
Like we cherish the bugbear for the fact that it has 5 feet of additional range just off the bat. This is it saying, fuck you, I do this with my mind. And that's one feature. So going further with that, if both your head and face are obscured by a bondage hood, you have advantage on dexterity stealth checks when at least 2 other humanoids are within 10 feet of you. If 10 or more other humanoids are within 20 feet of you, you can basically do a pass without trace for free. You add 10 to it. And then when you're blinded by that hood, like say for example you get the full effect with that gimp suit right there, you can do the find familiar tactic of seeing through the eyes of any willing humanoid within 60 feet of you.
Are we allowed to show this on Twitch?
I see no reason why we can't.
All right.
I mean, are they naked? Are they naked?
No, they are not. They are fully clothed, wearing shoes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Painful looking shoes, but goddamn.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's just a guy in a suit, or it's just a person in a suit. There is no exposed flesh there, and I don't even see any. I don't even see anything subjective. Can you even tell if this is a man or a woman? No, you cannot. No.
I would argue this is one of the more tame pieces of art in the book.
Oh yeah,
it is.
And if we didn't get in trouble last week for the lesbian art I accidentally showed on the stream in the book, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
I swear to God, being a lesbian is fine. It's nature. Koalas are lesbians.
What?
Okay,
That's a true fact. There are so many lesbian koalas.
Wait.
Koalas are lesbians. Look it the fuck up.
Well, that's gonna be our next sub alert.
So,
let's kill the bot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bot is dead.
So, continuing on, this is where it gets kind of fascinating. So here's the thing. We've not only learned, once you get to level 9, you've not only learned how to disappear into a crowd, but you've become so unnoticeable that you can be mistaken for an unremarkable fixture that belongs in the space. You become furniture.
Prop hunt.
If you remain stationary for more than a minute, and this is including the unimportant feat. This is still including that, by the way. You may make a dexterity stealth check with a +10 bonus to become hidden. And basically, if you are in a room, like for the example, the one mentioned above, you have advantage. And if there's more than 10 people in the room, with background piece and you're trying to remain hidden, you have a plus 20 to your stealth check.
Yep.
So to
That
get
is
yeah, so
I'm imagining the scenario of, again, assassin trying to kill the noble. Well, the version of that would be in Bundheim is, sexy party is happening. We brought in all these people in these suits who are happy to serve and please anyone at the party. But now there's psychic blades showing up all over the room and attacking people. Which one of them is the rogue?
The thing is, they also have a special ability where they're able to blend in so well you don't know they're there.
Exactly.
And
Garson, is it okay if I talk about it?
sure, go ahead. I would love to go ahead and talk about it, cause
Thank you.
so
'Cause,
yeah,
I'm planning on doing a D&D session with this, and I was doing some digging, and I find a lot of these characters fascinating. Like, I skimmed it, but still, I found a lot of these abilities fascinating, especially with this class, because not only are they able to just, like, mimic other people, they're able to mimic furniture. Because there is a kink out there where people like to be used as chairs, tables, stools,
sit on
and
me.
just other types of furniture that's possible for them to bend on. So,
hi, my hand's still being raised
oh
for
god,
having that.
oh god damn it,
oh
again.
dear,
Get her.
Chitter, you better tell your therapist that.
So
See, here's the
I will
thing.
call you the fuck out, lady. I love you so fucking much. Your therapist that.
okay,
I can
and
make a
the thing
new
is,
therapy group.
see, the thing is that my therapist knows it and considers it a healthy outlet.
What?
It is a healthy outlet, and I'm
That's
glad.
awesome.
I'm glad.
You know what?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad.
okay, but
Go
back
ahead,
to what
keep
you
the
were
wheels.
saying, Neko.
Yeah, thank you. So with this class, it's very. I would love to see how someone could be sexy but yet intimidating. Not like the overly sexy, like, oh, here I am. Like, hear this, like, I will be in your nightmares, slowly at your edge, never being able to reach me. I will be in every blinking moment you have, seeing me in the peripherals of your vision.
Okay.
Wow, that worked
Oh my
way
God.
too. That worked
I'm
way too well.
aroused.
That's that you are
Sorry.
too good at that. I legitimately recoiled away from my desk. Like, whoa!
So just
I have actual goosebumps. What the fuck?
I'm sorry.
so
I'm a voice actor. What the fuck do you want from me? I want something-
nothing. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Gerson.
You're
But
welcome.
that's just an example of what I want from my players. Like, I want to see your true self, because with BDSM, it's exploring your trauma in a healthier manner that can turn power back to you. And especially when you're with other healthy people with consent, boundaries taken well and stated and grounded. Basically, this is also having another outlet for another group of people that don't know how to regulate their emotions or regulate their urges without finding out, like, oh, here's a healthier outlet that I can explore with pleasure and pain, or what makes me feel really nice in public, I can do here in private, but in a more like a more dopamine enhancing way for physical contact with other people. Because again, people forget we're animals, and with this is such a good way to incorporate other ways to have like fun parties, healthy orgies, especially like practicing boundaries and consent, because some people who do go to orgies don't know proper boundaries, and that could really mess them up forever.
Yeah.
So
It,
with this,
yeah.
I want to see your true self, but also still have fun with it.
yeah.
Yep.
And Cheek, I'm sorry about that. You good, baby?
It's fine. Holy
I think you
shit.
broke. I think you broke our audience. Anyway, and just briefly want to just go over the capstone skill for this class. A familiar face. It basically gives you the ability to cast Disguise Self, perfectly replicating not only the look but the voice. and it actually and creatures have disadvantage to discern you. So basically, you are so good at this, you might actually so like, just to give you an example, you could disguise yourself as the king, walk into the throne room, make the argument that the other king that's sitting on the throne right now is a false king, and you might get the guards to kill the king.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that I find like sure, from a game perspective, this class is all about remaining just out of the line of sight. And I love the power that this class gives, but also for me personally, I love the loss of identity and vulnerability. I love the dehumanization. And that is something that is it's very difficult to do it positively because people don't like to associate not being a person with something positive.
But they also have to go through aftercare as well, because aftercare is very important.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. But what I'm kind of going on is that sometimes, and this comes a lot with that trauma that you mentioned, and I've
Mhm.
done my fair share of research into this subculture and kind of consider myself part of it, is that it's basically like rejecting personhood, rejecting the idea of being a person, not rejecting the idea of self, but like being a person, and that kind of thing where it's seen as positive. Like that's very difficult for people to accept because it's like, what do you mean? And that's I won't get too much into detail about it, but that is I will say that this class alone and that culture that I've done research into and consider myself to be a part of, at least on the fringes, is actually influencing the character that I'm playing in the Sunday campaign and choices going forward with that character. It's actually influenced choices that will come up, and I can't wait to show it because it's going to turn some ideas on its head, and I honestly can't wait. I'm very
Yeah.
excited for it.
Mhm.
Across knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this idea that okay, yeah, I'm not a person. I'm not like all of you. I'm different. I'm an other. And that's what makes me powerful.
I'm
Like,
better than you.
No,
yeah.
it's not. It's not quite about being better.
No,
It's
I know,
about
I know.
yeah. It but yeah. And the thing is that with that character choice that I'm making, I know going into it, and this is something that has to be discussed with something like this class as well, is that the initial response, especially from the curious explorers who don't know much about it, for people who like this kind of thing or see themselves as powerful when not being human, is concern. What's wrong with you? How can we help you? How can we heal you? How can
Who
we
hurt you?
fix it? Who hurt you? How can we fix this? That is that's not a bad response. It's an instinctive response, but with the character that I have and also with this class, it leans into the idea of there's nothing that you need to fix. This is my power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it
I
up.
can see that.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that even though the Null Visage does one thing really well, and that's basically disappearing, that's a rogue in a nutshell, and I think it's a great class. I would love to see someone play this in the campaign for Buntime, and I would love to see what they do
Mhm.
with the rest of a full rogues kit, because it doesn't, because those roguish actions like really can make this a very powerful class.
I've never
Yeah.
played a rogue before, but I'm willing to try.
I would definitely give it a
Same.
shot. So we're
I
gonna,
would love to. I would love to play this class personally.
well,
Mhm.
so we're gonna take a step back and go to the class we just skipped over temporarily.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Garson. I don't mean to interrupt like that, but given that, well, this is my situation. My time is kind of short. So there was one subclass I really, really, really wanted to get to today, and would it be okay if we focused in on that one just for this next bit of time, just for
Yeah,
the little
no,
bit of time I have left?
no, that'd be fine. What's the class that you want to talk about?
One of the warlocks, page 154, the Sublime Slithering.
Okay, 154.
Yes, there are
Uh,
no there are no bad pictures. We're fine. We're gonna be okay.
Oh,
Yeah, but
this
you-
one? Okay, let's bring it up then.
oh boy.
Okay,
Yeah,
Oh
so
boy!
I'll
Pickles, yay.
I'll go ahead and get started on this. So this is a warlock. As many of you are aware, warlocks typically are somewhere between a main damage dealer class and a sub DPS class that has a lot of debuffing abilities. Their main gimmick is that, unlike a lot of the other spellcasting classes, they typically can get their spell slots back a lot easier, mostly on short rest. And the other difference is that warlocks typically have to have a gameplay mechanic in the form of having like a pact, as a pact being, someone who's going to grant them their
Mhm.
power. Typically, this is usually a god or like a fiend or someone from the plane of
A
Avert.
demon or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And
Yeah.
in some regards, sometimes even an angel. This one I
Mhm.
don't think is any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cross.
This one. Yeah.
this one's
Yeah.
your, this,
This
this
one.
one's all you.
Yes. So there's the main reason why I want to talk about this one first, and it goes back to the pleasure and pain system we were discussing earlier. As I was looking through a lot of these subclasses, a lot of them will use pain and pleasure in different ways. But one thing I didn't quite see was a class that focused solely on gaining pleasure points, and that being its main draw, and that being, just a good thing to have. Like, some will say, like, oh, well, if you have this amount of pleasure or this amount of pain, or if you're using pain in this way, then it's good. So I was looking for the pleasure aspect of that, because personally, I am not a pain seeker in this type of situation. I'm a pleasure seeker. So I was looking for the subclass that did that. This one has it. I like the idea of kind of like fully giving yourself over to something, like that's kind
Ooh.
of submission. And this kind of plays into it. So the Sublime Slithering is basically your warlock patron is the long and short of it is that it's a tentacle monster. So yeah, we see in the description there, like Aquatic Leviathan or Horror from the Outer Reaches of Reality, some kind of otherworldly being that just happens to have tentacles is just one of the things it can do. That is the main kink that is being played with here.
Cthulhu. It's basically Cthulhu.
I thought you
Cthulhu's one at well, yeah. Cthulhu's is one example. Yeah, so as they say in the author note, it can play to that domination submission thing as well. I myself, I consider myself a switch a lot, but I find I'm more in submissive moods more often than not. So this is like, oh, sweet, perfect. So I am submitting to my warlock patron, and in retrospect, this is like probably one of the main reasons why I like warlocks more than anything, just from a story standpoint. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to get into the things that this can do.
So what
Yeah,
can this thing do?
Yeah, first for its expanded spell list, I'm sure you're gonna see a lot of consistent themes. First, it learns Entangle, and it says even there in parentheses as tendrils. Like already we're doing tentacle fun.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
But along with that is also hideous laughter. Not necessarily something you would consider when you think of tentacles, but I think the idea that it's one way to render someone completely helpless.
Oh
Like-
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because hideous laughter imposes incapacitation and leaves you prone. While
Mhm.
you're stuck in that, you can't do anything. You're at the mercy of whoever cast it. So there's that aspect to it.
Mhm.
That continues a little bit in the next set under Rage and Enfeeblement, leaving someone feeling weak, again, helpless in a way. Along with Alter Self being a way to adjust yourself. Someone I mentioned this last time, I think it was Serenity last time, mentioned like a form of corruption that could take in. This could kind of represent that. It's like, the more you give yourself over to it, the more it changes.
Right.
Yeah, that continues more in Bestow Curse, like you pass along those changes into others. And Spirit Guardians being a way to be protected by your patron. If you just imagine, you're like fully wrapped up in tentacles, but also in a way you're kind of being held and protected by it.
Oh, that's a nice way to say it.
Yeah. So it's a nice, it's a little wholesome way of
And
thinking
God's like,
about
this
it.
is my human. This is my mortal.
There are many
Mine
like it,
shall
but this
hide
one
my
is
mortal.
mine. Exactly.
And then of course we keep going down the spell list, and the very next spell goes from comforting to well, not.
Yeah, I mean, Black Tentacles. Like it would be a crime if it was not on this spell list. Like you have to have it. You
Right.
have to have it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then
Vitriolic. Vitriolic Sphere. Just being a big burst of acid. I could just see that as just the patron itself, just because.
Giving that old
Yeah,
hawk, the patrons giving that old hawk to your enemy.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. And then you get Dominate Person and Telepathic Bond. Again playing in and then more playing into that. Cause Tentacles, Cheeky said it in chat.
I'm fanning
Yeah.
myself.
You see where I'm going. This stuff is good. This stuff is really good.
Yeah.
This is saucy.
Yeah, especially for especially because it's like I said, it fits that sub DPS idea where it has a lot of damaging abilities, such as like I said, Vitriolic Sphere, Black Tentacles. Those are great damage dealing spells. Hideous Laughter, great debuffing spell. I love using Hideous Laughter. There is one spell I'm not noticing here, and maybe it's because it probably can typically be learned by Warlocks, but I'm not seeing Hunger of Hadir on here, and
I was gonna say that or Eldritch Blast.
Well, Eldritch Blast is like just it's like the coke of Warlocks.
In this context, it would be very weird and very painful.
Yeah, Eldritch Blast is a cantrip. The expanded spell lists are for leveled spells.
Okay.
So does that. As far as Hunger of Hadar goes, see, that's the thing. A tentacle monster doesn't want to eat you. It wants to hold you and use you for something.
Well,
that's what a lot of these things are doing. Entangle, Black Tentacles, Dominate Person, Telepathic Bond, Hideous Laughter. There's a running theme of keeping you in place and at my mercy. You can run out of the area of effect for Hunger of Hadar. When you're caught with Black Tentacles, you're fully restrained. You gotta break out first before you can get away.
Can I thought of a really dangerous spell combination, and I've been thinking of this for a while now, but you could have Black Tentacles, and then you can have autos, in, what's that spell where you have to be forced to dancing, and it's by auto whiz bang?
Irresistible Dance.
That's it. So you could have, in theory, cast Irresistible Dance, then put them in the black tentacle, so that if they fail the check, they have to start. They are trapped in the black tentacle, so they can't move. Next turn, let's cast the dance again and have them get beat up by the tentacles. So it's a dangerous combination, and I like the fact that I feel like that's something you couldn't normally get.
Yep.
Giving
you
me
get-
ideas. You're giving me ideas.
You're seeing why I love this, right?
I do. I
yeah, I
do.
love it. I love it.
So,
Mhm.
Cross,
Alright.
Cross, let me ask you something real quick before we go on to the next ability. With the expanded spell list, do you get all of these like right away, or do you only get them when you get access to the spell level that you can cast it at? Because I think that's probably how it would work, but I want to make sure that it's unique for this class.
Yeah, it's how that works. All warlock subclasses have an expanded spell list, and then when you get to the point where you're able to cast spells off of that level, those spells are given to you.
Okay,
So,
that's pretty. That's good. So I actually see that and getting it to 5th level is like around, I would say, level 6, 7, basically.
That would be character level 9, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so Dominate Person, Telepathic Bond, maybe that's going to be a little bit in the late game if your character can last that long.
Yeah.
But, getting Ultra Self, Random Enfeeblement, and Hideous Laughter, like, just at level 1, you should be able to get Entangled and Hideous Laughter right off the bat, which are great early game spells.
Those are amazing. You have Entangle for crowd control, and you have Hideous Laughter for single target control.
Right, and then
It's an amazing setup.
So let's move on.
Entangled.
So let's move on to the rest of what this thing can do, because I noticed that it can do more than just use an additional spell list. It sounds like you get the ability to summon and control your own tentacles, and
yes.
So Alawi from League of Legends.
So what I wanted to do before I actually got into Tendril Breach is the little part right above it. It's very small. The bonus proficiencies. You get proficiency with martial weapons and medium armor. Now you realize this is a martial class.
Oh. I didn't see that.
Liner.
Okay.
Yeah, now you're in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and again, I guess this really does once again feel like it's like, I hate to draw the comparison, but it does feel like this is Alawi from League of Legends, because what she was is a frontline fighter that summoned tentacles. That was more of a frontline basis. I'm not saying that it's a one-for-one comparison, but I am saying that's probably where the inspiration came from, and I like that because the thing about the tentacle mechanic is that, just from what I'm reading, it gives you extra bodies at a really early level, and that is probably one of the best things to have at early level campaigns, because yes, they're probably not going to have like a whole lot of defense, but that is still like 10, maybe 12 additional points of damage that could be spread out from your team and you yourself. So I think that's a great way to have it, and they get better as you level up with a better proficiency modifier. And they're immune to all conditions. Okay, wow. And it's difficult terrain if somebody crosses. Wow, I'm just reading more of this thing, and I'm fucking loving this.
Yep. Tendril Breach is really, really good. And then when you get into the next part of Slamming Strike, when you hit with a melee attack, that already tells you this is a melee-focused warlock. And so when you land the attack, you can add the tendrils in for extra damage if they're within 10 feet. So you run up to an enemy and you call tendrils around them. So you're hitting them with your weapons, and tentacles are going around. You're leaving them helpless. Imagine if your target is someone you hit with Hideous Laughter.
Ooh.
Not only are they getting hit with the weapon, now they're getting tentacles all over them.
And
all of this comes together.
And what I also love about it is that the tendrils are actually a bonus action, not a main action. So you don't have to waste a turn for prepping. You can run in there with your move, use your bonus action to summon the tendrils, and then deliver a standard melee attack, or potentially a spell, depending on how you're having it. And that's a lot of damage, especially at level 1.
Yeah, you can do all this in the same turn. Oh, go ahead, Cheddar.
Yeah, there's one other thing that's kind of important to mention that I don't think anyone's brought up. it's very interesting that in Slamming Strike it says you may have any number of your tendrils. Wait a minute. How many tendrils am I allowed to have? You may have a maximum number of tendrils active equal to your proficiency bonus.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep. And we're gonna see something a little bit later that's gonna make this amazingly good.
So-
it's already really, really good, but yes.
It is. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I think what the starting proficiency bonus is 2, right? Like, at level 1 to 3 is 2?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, so basically the way I see it is this. I don't know how many you can summon at one time with the bonus action. I don't know if it's like 1 per bonus action, or you can summon, like...
It's 1.
Okay, so you can't, like, summon an army of them right off the bat. You have
Yeah,
to
that
use
would
your...
be fun.
Yeah, that would be over... No, that would be broken. There's a difference between being funny and broken on that one. But
See, it's
Summon
funny you
tentacles.
mention. It's funny you mention that.
we're gonna get to that part later, I'm guessing.
Yep. We'll get to it later.
Okay, but my point is that you go in there, you summon a tentacle for your bonus action. And by the way, I just read this, and it looks like the thing that increases the armor class, but they all have 1 health. So there is a chance that they could die relatively easily, but for a bonus action, that's fine. Like, 9 times out of 10, you don't have a action with your bonus action unless you're, like, a rogue. But my point is,
Yeah.
that is amazing. And then to have it be able to, like, help you with dealing damage, you can summon, like, in 2 turns, if they don't die, you have 2 of these things. That's a potential 1d12 of damage for every melee that you hit with Slamming Strike.
Yeah.
That is broken at level 1, because you're dealing, like, with goblins at that level, and they're, like, at most got maybe 10, maybe 20 hit points.
And what makes it even more interesting about this is that fits into the theme with tentacles in general. Tentacles, if you keep pushing them back, is like, whatever, that's fine. But if you allow them to form up, if you allow them to keep going because you're not strong enough or you don't take them seriously enough, they can restrain you and hold you and make you lose your mind faster than anything.
There you go.
Yeah, that is a fair thing. So let's move on to the rest of what you can do with this class, because we've only scratched the surface.
Also, just for reference,
Mhm.
Yeah, your proficiency bonus can go up to 6, which is like doing like 66 worth of damage at once. And
Yikes.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're not there. This is something that I find troublesome with D&D in general, but it's whatever. Is that a lot of big adventures don't go beyond, like, say 10th level. Like as a rough point, they generally tend to end with pre-made adventures towards that point. And then the big ones are either fully DM made or extremely disappointing. I'm looking at you, Eve of Ruin.
Yep.
But here's the thing. Your proficiency bonus around that is 4. So you're doing 4d6 of additional damage. And
You
you're
actually
like,
do have a
oh,
question, Shitter. How much reach would a tentacle have with a spear dough?
a tentacle has a reach. You may have any number of your tendrils within 10 feet of the target join the attack.
Yes.
Also, can these tentacles like wield weapons? Because that would be so hilarious.
They cannot. It seems.
Who
But
would
they
have
do-
a knife wielding tentacle?
But
But-
here's where it gets kind of interesting, though. Because, sure, 4d6, you're like, okay, whatever. For a rogue sneak attack, it's only a 5d6. You're getting only 1 less dice than the rogue sneak attack.
And rogues have to set up a little bit. You just have to land a hit, period.
True.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, this is really good.
And we haven't even gotten into the extra features of this class. This is just with the first ability, mind you. Like, we could stop it there, and this thing would be like, this wouldn't be broken, but this would be a fantastic addition to any party, just because of the ability to produce extra targets for attacks, extra damage. That's extra damage, and potentially even having another additional frontline fighter and medium armor to start with. That is pretty damn good.
I feel like this would be a good boss as well.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a big bad.
There we go.
Also,
if you want a big bad, there is that squid that Cheek mentioned earlier.
Ooh.
There we go.
I did look ahead. Yeah.
That is what is called Garson, you're gonna hate me for this. That is the boar squid.
All right.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that a while ago.
Yeah. So anyway, other features.
All right.
Anyway, moving on.
Anyway, so let's move on to the rest. Let's move on to the rest of the what this thing can do.
So firm grip. The reaction after one of your tendrils deals damage to a medium or smaller creature. You can have that creature make a dex save. On a failure, the tendril grapples that creature. So already, oh cool. Now you don't need to spend a spell slot casting Entangle. Your tendrils already do the grappling to hold the target in place. But then increase the size of the creature that's able to be grappled by one size for each additional tendril that has damaged it in the turn you use this ability.
Damn.
So this thing,
yeah, you
oh god, this thing can grab huge creatures. Then that's very powerful.
Yep.
You can grab large creatures from level 1.
Yes.
Oh wow. Well, technically you have to be from level 6 because this is a 6th level ability. But I get what you're saying, and that is and that's dangerous because let me break down some of the creatures that fall under the large and huge categories. For large, we have dragons.
Yep.
For huge, for huge, we have the Tarrasque.
No, Tarrasque is gargantuan.
Okay, so really, I thought it was. Okay, wow.
No, it doesn't matter.
Massive.
No, here's the thing.
Godzilla.
That doesn't matter because I was taking a look at the proficiency bonus that you have at level 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3. So you're doing dragons right off the bat at level 6. You're doing fire giants. You're doing tree ants. You have up to huge right off the bat, and then at level 9, you can entangle anything. You can entangle anything.
This game
Even
is for the
God will not
stars
stop
that
me.
want to try other things.
Neko's right. This is like for wow. Like the more I'm reading this, the more I can see that this might be the MVP of the book. I'm not even kidding. Like I thought the Switch Duelist would probably be that. Maybe the Step Monk because of how much damage it did, but no, because what you get with this class is you get to break some of the most fundamental mechanics in the game with a warlock.
Yeah.
Not a party. One warlock.
But
and we're not even done yet.
Bosses, right? Because I didn't mention that.
I will say this. This is very much a class that requires a party around it because it requires those turns every turn to set up an additional tentacle.
Okay, let's get to the rest of this, and then we'll go back to give our thoughts on it, because we've been gushing about this for about 20 minutes. We're not even halfway through yet. So,
there's still more to gush about, trust me.
I know, so let's move on to the next ability, Open Invitation. You have learned to let the Sublime Slithering to use you as well. So I'm guessing the Sublime Slithering has to be the patron of this class?
Yes, that's what is what this is called. It's the Sublime Slithering Warlock. So yeah, the Sublime Slithering refers to a specific tentacle monster in the world of Bundheim.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I was about to say this is just Cthulhu.
Yeah, in other settings it would be like Cthulhu or like an Aboleth or something like that.
And
also you're getting fucked.
Yeah, literally. Open Invitation changes gears. Because instead of you being now a frontline fighter, you then give yourself over to your patron. as an action, you let all your tendrils within 10 feet of you wrap themselves around you.
Oh no.
You're considered to have succumbed. And while succumbed, you get these benefits. You start gaining pleasure over time.
Because
Gina,
you're
I wonder.
probing and bulging. Great. That's an
Yeah.
image.
Yep. So, yeah, this is happening during combat. You get 3/4 cover. Because like we said earlier, your patron is holding you. It's protecting you. This is mine. You're not going to hurt it. And then the Lash Out ability. Instead of you making your own melee attack and then having tentacles join in, no, just as an action, you track what your pleasure is, and you can have that many of your tendrils all attack an opponent within 10 feet. And your pleasure adds on to the damage that they deal.
So,
Ooh.
in theory, just going off what you're saying, at a proficiency bonus of 3 and a
Yes.
constitution of 18, which for a frontline fighter is pretty good, and probably if you got lucky, that would be what you were doing. You could, in theory, have 3d6 worth of damage plus 27
7. Yes.
at proficiency level 3, which I believe is either level 4 or 5.
Jesus, this is a broken class. What the hell?
On average, with average rolls, that is about 38 damage in a single turn.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And I just want to point the picture for this one. When you are at level 3 and 4, the top end threats have about, I would say, 75 HP.
Okay, to be fair, this is a 6th level feature. We need to go back to what we said about firm grip. This is a 6th level feature.
Right.
True.
But level
So we're not
6 is
killing-
but level 6 is not hard to get to. If you start at
Correct.
3,
Right.
if you start at 3, which is like, for me, that's like my baseline for characters, because that's when you get your subclass. Getting to 3 is getting 3 additional levels is not hard.
Right. So, yeah. I like that idea of switching gears, that instead of you running around to a point and then doing it, no, at this point you've run in, you've set up your tentacles, you've done your melee attack, and then now it's like, okay, now we're gonna have some fun.
Quite
So,
literally.
yeah. Yep. And
And-
then we get to other things that use pleasure in the next feature.
Revel in the air intention. Oh god. No, I already read this ability. Shit.
Oh.
When you start your turn succumbed, you get temporary hit points equal to double the amount of pleasure points you have, with a maximum of your warlock level.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. Just for free. Just you start your turn, you have temporary HP. On top of you already having 3/4 covered while succumbed, it is very hard to hit you.
And
Yeah.
and the other thing is that this is a 10th level spell. I mean 10th level feature action. So if you have
hold on, we gotta add.
Oh, we got an ad? Okay.
We have an ad.
All right. So we're going to
Yeah.
all right. So let's,
Minute.
Sneaky ads.
all right, so let's press the ads. I hate ads. We will wait for the ad to stop, and I'll just edit this out of the. Well, I don't know if I'll edit this out of it.
It's almost done.
Yeah, exactly.
Couple seconds.
Alright.
Alright.
But damn, like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
this is a little bit broken. I'm not gonna lie. So
I like
You
this
know-
class.
You know what the balance is, though? It's a very, very simple balance, and it's very subtle. All this relies on you having all the tendrils out, right?
right,
They only have 1 hit point.
yes, they do. And
Any AOE, because again, they have to be within 10 feet of you. Any AOE that hits will remove all of them.
well,
So
it could because
It could.
because it also remember that each of the tentacles have an AC of about 10 plus your proficiency bonus. So at around the 10th level, we're looking at a proficiency bonus of about +7.
plus 3.
Oh, really? Plus
No,
3?
4. Because it's just your proficiency modifier.
Right.
So at that point, you're getting to like proficiency bonus of 3 or 4. So their AC is only like 13 or 14 That's not that
Mhm.
high.
No, but like because again they come out in bonus action, you're summoning 14 AC ads that are essentially could draw a hit, and there is, and like you said, yeah, it may not be a big amount, but even in our last session we had ACs that could not be hit even at a 14, and those were sea
That's
hags.
fair.
So
Fair,
it's
yeah,
possible.
Fair point. It is, no, you're right. It is possible. It is possible.
Uh,
Yeah. But I will say this:
Mhm.
a balancing thing is just because of the monsters that are available, and also, a lot of monsters around level 10, from a game design perspective, they've taught you about AoE effects. They're using them
Yeah.
on the frequent. There's
Yeah.
it's unless you're actively trying as a DM, you will run into at least one monster with an AoE effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And
So
that requires
sorry.
a save. And I'm sorry, when you have 1 AP, unless it says you take no damage when you succeed the save, those things are gone.
Yeah. So that's that's the trade-off. This requires a little setup in getting the 10 out, and a good solid AoE, like a good dragon breath or a well-placed fireball, and then you gotta start resetting it, things up. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it can it can be a little
annoying.
tricky, a little annoying, a little tricky. So it's powerful but easily disrupted. So
Thi-
that's the balance.
all right,
This is
so
a class where if you can get everything going, you're a beast. The moment
Yep.
that you disrupt it, you're done.
Yeah, you gotta reset.
so let's move on to the capstone ability of the class, or at least I think it's the capstone ability because it looks like it's a multi-ability feat, and that's Vessel Fulfilled.
Yes. So this is another reason why I really like this. So yeah, can manifest your tendrils into reality solidly enough that they can deposit a fragment of the sublime Slithering's essence into your body. While you are succumbed, as an action, you may birth an aberration of CR 5 or lower to a space within 5 feet of you. Shares initiatives under your control, and after a minute, it disappears. Once per long rest. So, I'm gonna be honest here. I have a breeding fetish. So, yeah.
Feel free,
This, I
feel free to share. We hold no judgments on this show.
That's same.
Mhm.
I have that too, so I understand. Don't worry.
Yes, validated. Okay, yeah, so I thought, I was like, oh, you could just do, hi, yeah, hand raised, yes, please. So, yeah, so as far as like gameplay goes, this can help in that, when you're succumbed to open invitation, you are restrained, you are stuck in one place. But then this gives you something else you can do that can go out and still interact with other enemies. Okay, so like sure you can still like cast spells and everything, and maybe your spells can hit things from afar. But you're putting out another body that can interact with other parts of an encounter arena, while you're stuck in one place dealing with whoever the most threatening person is. So yeah. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this this subclass.
So so while we still have you for a little bit longer, let's go over some of the other things that we've seen here, and that's like just some of the Eldritch invocations that you can get as one of the Sublime Slithering classes, because obviously
Yeah.
we're obviously there's going to be there's a two that I can see right now. One of them is Eager Summoning, which when you summon a okay, fuck, really, they had to give them this? This is one of the
Yep.
things that they could get? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well this this is probably an insta pick. When you summon a tendril of the Sublime Slithering, you may summon an extra tendril. Okay, guys, I don't know how much you know about summoning classes, but whenever you give the summoner the ability to summon multiple of the thing they need at once, you know they have to pick it. It's like an insta pick on this thing, and summon 2 tendrils
Yep.
for one bonus
Twice.
action. Oh god,
It's really good.
Oh.
It's really good.
I'm gonna
And
see
then,
what
of
the
course,
other one is.
Oh, there's Relentless Manifestation, which is your tendrils may join in on any number of attacks for your slamming strike ability, but each individual creature can still only be affected by the slamming strike ability once per round. So you basically can go hiya, boom, 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 hiya, boom, 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 boom.
But
Two
the thing
enemies
is,
going.
right. But then you gotta think about this. What this subclass wants to do is rush into an enemy, pop out all the tentacles, and then start wailing on them. That invocation right there only works if there's two enemies that are already pretty close to each other. So that's not going to happen as often. It's good, but yeah, it requires that particular setup. So yeah, it can be effective, but not always. Eager summoning though is always good. So yes, that is an auto take.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also another one that isn't specifically for the slithering, but you would pretty much always take it. Nerve fire.
Nerve fire.
If you would gain pleasure as a reaction, you may gain twice that amount instead.
Yeah, that's good.
I still say I still say, but if you only can pick one Eldritch invocation, or at least I think so. Again, I don't play Warlocks a lot, so forgive me if I don't know how many you can get. But I would take Eager Summoning. If I can only have one, those extra tendrils are just going to be more beneficial for the long term.
Yeah. By the time you pick your subclass, you have, I believe, 2 invocations.
Yeah.
And you can gain more as you level up. I think another one at like level 6, I want to say. Another one at like level 10.
Okay.
5 and 11, I think. Something
5 and 11. Okay.
But
so yeah.
Either way,
yeah.
All right.
Like, this class is absolute. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it. This is the class where you'd have that warlock mysteriously referring to like mother or whatnot, and then just absolutely seeing that and going, oh, that's what they meant.
Oh, that's the thing. Okay, I should be running now.
All right, well,
yeah.
I got nothing else to add on this one. This is a very powerful class. I also it feels like actually a little off in it doesn't feel off in Bunheim, but I could see this being like something that would definitely make it into base 50.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's evocative. It pushes all of my buttons. Like it just on the playing the game side, it's really good. On the kink side, it hits everything I want. It pushes my subby buttons. It hits a lot of my kinks. It goes back to what I was saying of, there's a class that focuses a lot on pleasure and holding that. Just solely pleasure. Not you could do pleasure or pain. No, solely pleasure focus. And it's like, yes, I want to give myself over to something and feel happy about it.
You have the same kink that I have.
Yay!
Yay, kink buddies.
If I may, also on the breeding kink, I love that it's gender neutral.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that just reminds me of like a really stupid joke that I remember hearing. Like, damn, it's too bad that boys can't get pregnant. Hello, said the boy impregnator.
I mean, well, that's what this is.
All right. Well, as we went ahead and did that, we've only got, so I hate to say it, but we've only gotten through like 2 classes. So we're gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit if we're ever gonna get through this book. So we're gonna yep. What was that, Cross?
That is actually perfect timing because I do have to get going.
All right.
Now.
Well, Cross, we love having you. We will have you back next week for the weapons and armor. We are gonna actually go for a little longer than 2 hours because we gotta at least get through 3 more classes at the very least to justify how much we are doing this.
The very least.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about the druids.
We did talk about the druids.
We can talk about them again.
Hey folks, Garson here. The episode ran a bit long, but part 2 will be up tomorrow. consider it a fun little treat for you to enjoy. Anyway, see you next time. And also, like, comment, and subscribe, and stay awesome.